Welcome to How to Money with Cole and Cole.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Cole.
We coach people every day on their money and how to plan for the future.
As financial advisors, we're here to have an honest conversation on investing, retirement, and everything in between.
At Full Swing Financial Planning, we're here to empower you to take control of your plan, your way, for your financial future.
So let's talk money.
And sports.
Welcome back to How to Money with Cole and Cole. I'm your host, Bailey Ashbrook, and I am sitting here with the president of the best JUCO college in the Midwest. And I might be a little biased because I went there, Dr. Jesse Ulrich of Iowa Central Community College. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having us. Only one correction. It's not just Midwest. It's actually the nation.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
We want to go big.
First person with doctor in front of their name on the podcast. So
I'm nervous, but
Bailey's probably more nervous because she played at Iowa Central. She's a legend apparently out there because she thinks she can beat everyone in this room at basketball.
I did beat you in basketball, Cole. That's facts.
Yeah, you beat me one game out of how many we played, but anday.
Jesse, let's get back on to it. USA, best basketball sport. Let's go. Men play today.
Men play tomorrow. Today is Friday. Yeah, women play today in the semifinal game, and the men play tomorrow in the gold medal game.
Last episode we asked everyone what Olympic sport you'd want to compete in. So let's ask our guests, what Olympic sport would you want to put you on the spot there?
In the summer?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Whatever summer.
Yeah, I mean, in summer, I'd just be probably carrying the water. But like if it was winter Olympics, I'd be the curler. I am all about the curling. It's
That's
amazing.
exciting.
So it wasn't what sport you actually thought you could do, because I said track, and obviously I would never be able to run track.
Don't sell yourself short.
Me neither. And I said track, and I could never run track either.
We both said to be the fastest man. There'd be Noah Lyles right now. How cool would that be?
Just run everywhere.
But for summer,
everywhere.
I would probably be like the guy from Turkey who got the silver, where I'd love to do the little pistol, but I wouldn't be doing all of the high tech stuff. He just got up there and shot it.
Yeah, did you see with his hand in his pocket?
Yeah, it was amazing.
People were saying that you can't find him on Google. Are you sure he's not right? They were seriously.
Right.
This is the first year I think it's so everything's so and maybe in past I haven't paid attention as much, but there's so much action. You can watch
every event,
every sport I didn't even know. I'm like, this is a
Peacock
sport.
and YouTube.
Right. I would agree with you. The streaming cool. this time is way better than it was last time.
I'm sure the eyeballs, the viewership's got to be unreal, because everyone I talked to is like, oh yeah, I was watching this and something random. So I'm like, huh.
Yeah. The thing about it being overseas though, when I get to the nighttime thing, I've already know what's happened,
especially on the major events.
Yeah, but you still like to watch it, of course. But at the same time, I already knew that Lyles was going to win the 100. I already knew the women were going to win the gymnastics. All that stuff was already done.
Yeah, it'll be great in 4 years when it's in LA. Yep. It'll be a little bit more real time, and
that will be
that'd be sweet.
I'm sure it's going to be crazy.
All right, well, let's get into it, because I think today is a really important topic. We personally have a lot of clients. This is a top mind thing. The cost of college. Should I save for my kids' college? Jesse, this is the world you live in. But before we get into that, maybe tell our listeners how you full circled back to Iowa Central and your role as president and what got you there.
Yeah, I'm passionate about this region. I consider this my home region. I grew up in West Bend, just northwest of here, about 45 miles, home of the Grotto. We were brainwashed as children to, continually say that, because, that's it's a big part of our community. But, growing up, my mom ran an in-home daycare. My dad was a, start fresh mechanic back in the 70s. So, money was tight, so I went to Iowa Central really for two reasons. Number one, it was right down the road. And number two, it was the only thing I could afford, so for me, it was, hey, my mindset at the time, not knowing any better, because I was a first generational student. I was thinking, hey, listen, if this doesn't work out, I'm a short pack, to drive back home, and I can always go try to work for my uncles on the farm and try to make ends meet. And, honestly, one of the most difficult conversations I had growing up was when I told my father that I wanted to be a teacher. Because in his mind, what teachers were making at the time, he said, no way, you're not going to be a teacher. You need to go on. You need to have a better life than what I've got and what we're providing for you. And so convinced them, no, wanted to be a teacher. And they say, hey, great, but, we'll keep you on our insurance, and we'll try to give you some groceries when you come home. But,
wow.
You're
good luck.
That was it.
That's a risk.
Yeah, exactly. So when I moved to Fort Dodge, moving from a community of 800 people. I have to remind myself, we've got 1,200 kids living on campus.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's
We have
awesome.
more kids who live on campus than I grew up in my community, but I lived in low income housing in Fort Dodge. I lived at what was known as the WAC.
It's still there.
Still
It's
there.
still there.
Oh, believe me, it's still there.
That makes two of us.
Yeah.
I've lived there.
Yeah. It was great. But I graduated from Iowa Central and then did BV night classes right here in Fort Dodge as well. I was working at Rabner Treatment Center at the time, full time, and doing night classes at BV. And the full circle for me was I started out as a teacher, started down in Prescott Valley, Arizona, because 20 years ago, I graduated with a social studies degree, and there was like 4 social studies jobs in the entire state, and unless you were a seasoned coach, you didn't have much of a chance. And so I went down there, started my career, came back, and was fortunate to have some, great boards who took a chance on me. I look older than I am, but my first principal job, I was 26 years old.
That's impressive.
wow.
That's so impressive.
I was 26 in my first principal job. Gretinger Terrell took a chance on me and appointed me superintendent there when I was 29. And,
How long ago would that have been?
Oh, that would be in 2007, 2008. Somewhere in there, and very blessed. Come full circle when the time came where we wanted to get back to this part of the region. Was blessed to have an opportunity to come back and be the superintendent of Fort Dodge Community School District, and I was saddened to see Stu Cochran retiring from the board. What a great board leader. They've had some great members on there, Lisa Shimkat and Matt Wagner and some others who brought me back here. And when the Iowa Central, I wasn't honestly when I got the question of hey, would you ever consider applying to be the president of Iowa Central, I looked at him and said, what? Me? Me? But then looking at, I called a mentor of mine and said, hey, am I wasting my time, my skill sets as a superintendent to be a college president? And the mentor laughed and he said, Jesse, the problems at the community college level, higher ed, are the same as what they are in K-12. They're just different words. We're all struggling on trying to increase graduation rates. We're all struggling on how do we hire the best and the brightest, to serve, the students that we have. And then we're all trying to have the best school climate and culture and support at-risk students, So those skills have really transferred well to me. And honestly, it's been full circle because we were just even 20 years ago, the campus compared to what it is today.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Even compared, I went in 09, 10. I walked through there the other day. I was blown away. I'm telling you, if you wanted a college experience at a JUCO and save money, like the campus is so beautiful.
Yeah. We take great pride in, we're a pedestrian campus. We are a mini university. If you're looking for a commuter campus type of feel, Iowa Central is probably not it. Because we want students to be engaged. We want students to come here and be a part of our community and make good decisions and get that high quality education at affordable price. Our purpose is very, very simple. We want students to come to Iowa Central. We want them to finish their degrees in the shortest amount of time possible with the least amount of student loan debt so they can go on and have a better life. One of the things, it's sexy right now to say, oh, you don't need a college degree, but that's only part of it. Like they're half right in not everybody needs a 4-year degree. We've known that for quite some time. Not everybody needs a 4-year degree. However, by and large, nearly everyone needs some type of training past high school. And that's where your community colleges come into play because, if you want a micro credential, we've got those. If you want a 1-year certificate, we have those 2-year technical degrees. Or if you want a low cost, high quality AA degree to transfer onto a 4-year, we've got that as well. So just very blessed to be back here in this community. And one of the things that I shared with the parents bringing their students here, we live in a great community. It's a great place to raise our children, and we just need to continue to tell that story because this is a great place to be. And by and large, my kids are going to go to Iowa Central, whether they like it or not. And,
they're Tritons, future
right?
Tritons.
They're
Bo,
future
you listening?
Mm-hmm.
But that's awesome, because I think a big conversation, and I want to touch on this because you said this, you could get your AA degree and then go on to the 4-year college. And something I want to talk about is the cost of college, comparing starting at a 4-year college and then trying to avoid that student debt. You're really passionate about that. So maybe talk to our listeners and people thinking about college, or even parents like saving for college. What is the best way to handle that? And what is that nice step from JUCO to a 4-year college, obtaining that AA?
So, context of why I'm passionate about this is, the beginning of my story, every single one of my degrees, I've borrowed money to get. Started with the AA and then the bachelor's degree to be a teacher. It's one master's degree to be a principal. It's another master's degree to be a superintendent. And then, why not put the cherry on top with a doctorate?
Still out of school.
But what
a lot of loans.
Yeah, right.
I was thinking the same thing. Dollar bill.
Exactly. And here's the thing: growing up, not knowing much about money, I made the telltale mistakes that we try to teach our kids, now when they come in. Student loans may seem like a great thing at the time, but if you don't handle it appropriately, it can be a chain around your neck. Mm-hmm. And, and I share with students, by and large, I've got one more year of student loans, and it's about $1,500 a month. You put that in perspective, you got to have a really high income or a good income to handle that, because by and large, that's a nice house mortgage, So, if I could have done some things differently, my life could have been, different. But we also need a paradigm, shift, because number one, college doesn't have to be expensive. It's about choice. We oftentimes in society fall into this victim role, this victim mentality of, if I'm going to send my kid to college, it's just going to be so expensive. No, it doesn't have to be. In example, you can come to Iowa Central, and if you're just paying tuition, it's about $7,000 a year. That's very, very reasonable.
Yes. That's probably doable for most people to pay out of pocket. If
you were getting zero, if you were getting zero aid whatsoever, then you could work a part-time job and make that happen.
Cash flow that.
If you want to live on campus, it's another $7,500. So all in, you're under $15,000 to come to a community college and get those first 2 years. Now, for a lot of our students who are getting their technical degrees, then that's it. Then they're over with, but where the victim mentality comes in is this is about choice. Because if you're going to fall into the emotional discussion with your about to turn 18-year-old of where they're going to go to college, and, unfortunately in America, we need to start thinking about college more from a business perspective. Mm-hmm.
I completely agree.
And I'll give this, and I'll give Matt Johnson a shout out. I've been a Ford guy all my life. I drive a Wagoneer, but my next vehicle, I've got an Explorer on the way. But here's the deal: when you go on to the Ford parking lot, okay, there's going to be two vehicles side by side. There's going to be a wonderful, beautiful, brand new Lincoln Navigator. And that baby, when you get all the bells and whistles, it's going to be about $120,000. You get the top notch ones. Okay. Right next to it is going to be a Ford Expedition XLT. And that baby is about $70,000. Now, the same vehicle is going to get you from point A to point B. Now, the difference is you might not have the massaging seats and the
heated steering wheel,
which, by the way, I didn't have until I was 40 years old. Yeah. So it's okay. We're not entitled.
You'll live.
I do like the massaging seats.
Yeah, I agree. But here's the deal. For Americans and for people in our society, hey, if you can't afford the Lincoln Navigator, most of us aren't just going to go to the bank and pay a higher loan because we want our 18-year-old to feel comfortable in what they're driving. Okay. But we do that with college all the time.
We want them to be at the best.
We want them to be at the perceived best college.
The perception.
The perception. Because here's what I'll tell you. Statistically speaking, students who go to a community college first and then transfer to a 4-year degree actually outperform the students who are at a 4-year degree.
Awesome.
Yep,
Right
I'm
out
a
of the bat.
Triton.
Yep.
Let's go.
By 10 to 15% higher graduation rate if you start at a community college than if you start at a 4-year right away.
Do you think that's too? I would think about this because I did go to JUCO, and I think about that transition from being a kid and all of a sudden you're into adult world and you're 18 and you're starting off your life. It's almost an easier step up than trying to just go to a 4-year college, find your fit and find your education, because now you're balancing this big city,
Right.
this big loan, versus this more hometown feel. You're kind of balancing school and all of it together. Or I guess what would you say is the differentiator there?
I think that the size does matter in regards to the support level. Like
Yes.
one of the things, we just had an orientation. One of the things I talked to our parents about, we're the 5th largest community college in the state of Iowa. So we're large enough to offer all the supports any of these students need to be successful. Okay. But we're also small enough to know who they are, what they want to accomplish in their lives, and how we can help them get there. They're not just another number of paying tuition. And I think that does matter when you go on. Now, if you can afford the Lincoln Navigator, great, go, but don't complain about the price tag like when you go on. I've hired plenty of teachers who went to a private school and have $120,000 $150,000 of student loan debt on a bachelor's degree, and I'm just wondering, how's that going to work? But that's a decision, they made. But again, it's not that the system is just skewed for every, everybody in our society. It's, there are choices. Also one of the things, with student loans, you don't have to take the student loans. I mean, there's nobody, I can't speak for every college, in the country. But literally we just had this conversation as a team about how we counsel kids when they come in to take those student loans. And what we do is we sit down with them and say, okay, you've got $1,000 balance left after aid and all of that. You're eligible for up to $4,000 of aid. Would you prefer just to take what you need? Take the $1,000 to cover that. Oftentimes kids, because, hey, we're dealing with 18-year-olds.
Yeah, they want that extra $3,000.
Hey, I can buy a TV, you can buy this. Well, that's great, but then you put 7% interest over a 30-year, 20-year period of time. Holy cow.
Yep.
So, hey, take the bare minimum that you need, get that part-time job, work it off as fast. One of the things you brought up before, hey, once you graduate, I would attack with a vengeance the student loans to get them out of your lives as quick as possible.
You made such a great point there. We always talk about education and trying to how to parent. As a father, how do I talk to my kids about
Educate
money, right?
them.
And I think the earlier on that you can have the conversations, just understanding simple things like credit card interest, and obviously you're not going to talk about a 7-year-old about that, but a 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old, the quicker they can understand of like, hey, how impactful that can be when you go the wrong direction, or you have a credit card available to you, but should you be using it? Or not, or you have this loan available to you, but you really only need $3,000.
And understanding the consequences of that
the
loan.
long-term impacts. And I think the earlier you can educate or at least expose your kids to some of those scenarios, the better. And obviously, hopefully having some good mentors or people that are coaching them along the way.
The other thing is having a plan along, because I'll go back to the Lincoln Navigator. Okay, why are you going to buy your 18-year-old child a Lincoln Navigator if they're going to go live in downtown Des Moines or upscale New York? Okay, it's not a good fit. And what I mean by that is, hey, make sure the degree actually fits, the purpose of where they want to go in life. One of the things we don't talk a lot, we're getting better at, but in the trades, and just to share some numbers here, I found this off of Bring Back the Trades Incorporated. By 2027, we need over 500,000 plumbers. By 2028, we need over 300,000 welders. We need 80,000 electricians a year through 2030.
Wow.
And right now in the trades, in all of those areas, over 40% of the current workforce is going to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. Okay.
Wow.
And why I bring that up in talking about the opportunities and choices. Okay. If you make less than about 120,000, if your household income is less than 120,000 a year, which in Fort Dodge, the median is about 50. Okay. You can go into any one of those trades, and through the Last Dollar Scholar program in the state of Iowa, you don't have a bill at the end.
Wow.
You can literally get a degree in any of those areas and be debt free and start at $60,000 a year.
And that's why people shouldn't automatically think college is expensive, or if I send my kid to college, it's going to cost me this much money, because you can literally go to college, quote unquote, for free and get a great degree and come out of college. If you're a plumber, electrician, all those start at 50, 60, 70,000 now, depending on where you start. I mean, you're going to start at a good wage and be able to automatically start saving for your retirement.
Yeah. And speaking of savings, the state of Iowa is great. Our 529 plan is top notch. And if people are not doing it, they're foolish. You know, if there is any way to scrape and put together a little bit a year for your child in that 529, it's huge, you know, because honestly, and even I'll bring it in the K-12 world, you know, there's multiple factors there where not only do you get to pay for the tuition and deduct that, but you also get to deduct the money that you're putting in, you know, so it makes a lot of sense, especially with the safeguard that, oh, I don't know if my child is going to go to college. Well, if they never do, down the road, they can transfer that, you know, into a really good IRA. And so you're still helping.
It's preaching.
Yeah,
we've talked about that. Right? Yeah. I love it.
But what I'm amazed at is the number of parents who are worried, you know, about the stock market and those types of things. And, well, do I lose money? And what I tell them is, well, hey, listen, if you are scared and you believe the world's flat and you're going to lose in the money market, then
sorry,
you're right.
The world's flat.
Yeah, I agree.
Then 1 week before you bring your child, put the money into the account. You register, you call them, and you get your money right back, and you still get all of the deductions. Like, if you want to play the game, fine. If you're worried that you're going to lose money,
right?
But by and large, we know. I mean, you all know. You deal with them. By and large, when you play the long game, you're going to win in there.
Yep. And it always starts. It's one of those that doesn't have to be a lot, but the earlier you start, the easier it is. Right. And the dollars you're talking about. You know, if your child's born today, 18 years, you know, you could probably pay for a lot of stuff that Iowa Central offers by doing $25-$50 a month for 15, Absolutely. You know, 15 years. Absolutely. I know I waste $25 on DoorDash. You know, DoorDash or something, you know, pretty useless every week.
Yeah.
So.
I started with $100 a month when Joseph was born and do a 529, and now there's, you know, $30,000 in that account, and it really didn't. I mean, I've increased the contributions over time, but it just compounds interest, just like you said. Yeah. As long as you play the long game and you buy in the stock index and you know, wait it out, don't worry about fluctuations.
In the state of Iowa, you know, recently you increase the tax deductibility up to $5,500 per individual. So, you know, you can get a state level tax deduction.
You know, the other that we talk about, you know, the amount of money that's out there in scholarships that our students just don't take the effort to go get.
I was just going to say untapped resources.
Untapped resources. I have the honor of sitting on the United Way, Fort Dodge Foundation United Way board, and every year we have a plethora of scholarships. And for the past 4 years, the trend has been the same, which is we have less applicants for the scholarships that we have.
Wow.
And I'll tell you this, you know, for my kid, hey, you may be busy with sports and everything else, but your little part-time job is going to be actually tailoring, writing scholarships, like filling out scholarships forms, because the amount of money, you know, an example, a $7,000 tuition at Iowa Central, you want to come on, you want to be one of our ambassador students. Well, that's a $2,000 scholarship. Okay, that's almost a fourth of your tuition right there.
What's an ambassador student?
Those are the students. No, they're the ones who welcome students who, when they come to campus for visits, give them a little tour.
So they're like promoting.
Yeah, they're promoting on campus, you know, what we do and what we have, and there's all kinds of opportunities out there. But it takes the initiative of the student and their parent. And I'm going to get on a little soapbox here. So
I'll get your box a little higher.
Get a little higher. I'm short. One thing in our society that we're missing is the absence of parents. And here's what I mean by that. You know, I get questions all the time. Well, what is the school doing to do in K-12 for financial literacy? What is the school doing to advise my student on? Well, you're the parent. Like, I'll tell you this. I mean, I have full faith in our school systems. We got great school systems, but I don't want to put that burden on school systems to teach my kids that there's 3 basic principles of money. You give, you save, and you spend. Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, so I don't want to put that pressure on people I don't know for my children's, future. Hey, for college, those simple things of, hey, choose a college that you can actually afford, realistically, that you can afford through scholarships. If you don't want to put burden of a large price tag of student loans, then a private school may not be it. I love, I'm a Hawkeye fan. I graduated Iowa State. I love all of our region partners, but we're half the cost of the University of Iowa right now.
That's crazy.
So, hey, are you taking college classes while you're in high school? We had about 8 students between St. Ed's and Fort Dodge Senior High who graduated with their AA degree at the end of high school at the same time as their diploma. Start adding up the amount that those parents saved simply because they helped their child get that initiative. Now I'm not saying, because there's a lot of parents who they may just not know, but they know enough to, I don't know, so I need to ask.
For our listeners, what would be, you're a parent, you obviously have a lot of knowledge because you live in this world, right? What would be some questions or resources or places to go to, like, hey, where do I find scholarships? Obviously you can.
How can I go to college most cost
you can use
effectively?
Google. That's the easiest way is do an internet search. But is there things out there? Where would you tell parents to go that, hey, I don't have a lot of knowledge in this area?
Yeah. Every single one of our schools in our 9-county region we call them a CCTC, which is a college career transitional counselor. So what that person is a resource for every single one of our students to, how do we fill out a FAFSA? Where do I get scholarships? What does my resume need to look like to get into college? And this isn't just specific for Iowa Central. Okay. This is wherever you want to go. We, in every single one of our schools, we have someone there, to be able to help them. You can do the Google searches, but, the counselor's office is typically going to be the central point in every one of our schools. They'll typically have a whole list, a rack full of all the different scholarships. Iowa Central, if you stop out, we have a brochure of all of the generous patrons that we've had who've started endowed scholarships that we give out on an annual basis. So,
this podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital.
Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market.
Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.
That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026 or visit our website www.spinmarket.com.
Let's do a little dollars and cents.
Dollar bills, y'all.
I know today we're focused on education and where things are trending in that world, but this week it's been a wild week in the market. I know you're talking, hey, the flat Earth believers and the skeptics of things. It's been a wild week in the market, and I think we constantly, in our profession, we've always got to remind ourselves, so like, hey, good times aren't going to be here forever. Not everything's easy, but also taking sometimes the emotion out of things. And I have a little math I saw online on Twitter, actually, of all places. So take this,
or X
from Compounding Daily. This is the source. And if anyone's ever watched CNBC, the stock channel, during the day, they always have headlines, and it's trying to get your emotional strings and grabbies. And they have one when the market's really volatile. And this happened this Monday, right? NASDAQ was down a ton. The overall market was down a bunch. And they have a headline that says market's in turmoil, and it's red and it stays at the bottom of the screen, tries to grab your emotional strings, right? So what this, what I'm going to refer to from Compounding Daily is they went and they did a report or a study going back to sometime in 2010. And they said, well, every time that was on TV, the market was obviously super down, down. It wasn't when it's green and high flying, right? It's red, it's negative, scary. And it said, if you would have invested on that day, every time they had that headline on TV, and since 2010, there was 105 times where they had that.
That they use the word turmoil.
Yeah, markets in turmoil. If you invested in the S&P index on that day, or every time that came across the screen, you said, hey, I'm going to buy the S&P index. And obviously there's different times intradays when you buy, but 100% of the time, 1 year later, you'd have been positive. And your average return was 40% from that day. So this tells you like the emotions of not, and I don't want to blame like the meat, we're kind of being media people here, we're putting out, stuff, but
we're
it's
positive.
Like, yeah, you just got to understand there's coming back to having a plan, and even coming back to the college thing, a plan and thinking this through, of being rational and knowing that, hey, sometimes when things hit in the fan, the best decision is either just, hey, let's cool off, wait, and we're constantly preaching to clients. And I think it's such a great thing to refer back to. Obviously, if we were always smart enough to buy that day, that's easier said than done for everyone. But 100% of the time, 105 times, average return was 40% over those 105 times.
I had one client call me on Monday, and he's like, what should we do? And
I said, an email too. You had two.
All right. I had one email. I said, we should buy more.
Busy guy.
I was just going to say, turmoil in the markets, doesn't that mean they're going to go on sale?
We have not had many buying opportunities this year, and I saw it as a buying opportunity. Okay, we're down 3% one day, basically. Let's go, because it's going to bounce right back up, and it really did. I mean,
there's two phases. It's like accumulators, and someone that's distributing assets, right? Anyone that's in the accumulation phase, market volatility is great for you. If you're putting money in, whether it's your 401k or your 403b or whatever it is, that's really good for you. You're buying at different lower prices. Obviously, if you're on the distribution phase, you want less volatility. You probably shouldn't be as exposed to the market at that time if you're selling assets and spending money. But it's all in context and all relative. But I thought that was so crazy, and I wish I had a client approved like marketing case to put out. Yeah,
I had another, so the same client conversation that I had, I was like, yes, the S&P, I think it was down 2.79% today. Your account is down 0.15. So you've also got to realize that just because you see the S&P 500, you don't have all your money in the S&P 500 index. You're not down 3%. You're down whatever your account is.
I heard a mentor of mine always use this line, that people had always used to. The Dow's less relevant now. Everyone talks about the S&P, but the Dow used to be really like the index everyone looked at. And like, well, the Dow's down 6% this week or whatever it is. And he'd always say, well, you don't own the Dow. You own this and this and this, it's like, so it's always knowing what you own, right? You might only have a really small portion of equity exposure if you're someone that's retired, but you're like seeing that emotional strings being pulled, and all of a sudden you're like, oh God, everything's, going to hell in a handbasket.
And again, it comes back to your plan. Like, do you have a plan? Are you set up for success? Do you know what to do during these times? Like, are you educating yourself? And same with like, Jesse, that's what I was hearing from you in a lot of this. Like, do you have a plan? Do you know why you're going to college? How much it costs? And if you do incur that cost, do you know how to take care of it? So there's a lot of moving pieces in college. And I think, Cole, we were kind of talking about this.
Yeah. So I what you said earlier about, don't go to the Navigator College if you're not going to have a Navigator degree and have a Navigator job and salary. But you can, obviously, if you are going to go to Penn and graduate with, a doctorate degree and make $250,000 right out of college, it's okay to do that. Right? I mean, that's not what you're saying, obviously, but have a goal in mind that how you're going to pay back this college debt if you are going to incur it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to make sure to clarify, when I talked about parents before, I'm not being critical of parents, but rather empowering parents to make sure they understand.
Such a good point.
Man, you are the number one influence of your child. And so our parents sometimes underestimate, their worth and wisdom that they're giving to their kids. And to your point here, Cole, absolutely. I mean, you got to have a plan. No one wants to just go anywhere without a plan. And for the folks, I've heard, hey, my kid, he's going to be a general laborer, and so he doesn't need a college degree. Yeah, absolutely. But my question to the parent then always is, so what is the plan when your child turns 40, when they're turning 50, their body's giving out on them on being a general laborer? What are they going to do? Because, hey, they can always come back, get some micro credentials, take some business classes on the side and figure out, maybe create their own. One of our points of pride, by the way, our electrical program, we started counting up, and we have, I believe it's 12 businesses that the owners graduated from Iowa Central.
Wow. That's awesome. That is awesome.
But
that's a powerful stat.
Absolutely. absolutely. But those are the folks who, they had a plan. They weren't just planning on being on the bottom of the rung their entire life, and also within reason, example, like I have a great life. My degree has given me a wonderful life, but, student loan debt, had I done some things different, I wonder what I could have contributed more into my child's 529 and, those types of things. So one of the things that we talk about at Iowa Central is we call them career pathways, where the worst thing that we have is a student who comes in and, hey, what's your major? And they list as undecided. Yeah. Now my heart says, well, at least you're here not spending a lot of money. Mm-hmm.
Not at Iowa undecided.
Yeah, right. I mean, but, in example, what we refer to as career pathways is we've designed our courses to where healthcare is a career pathway. Hey, you don't know if you want to be a doctor, a nurse, a CNA, or a lab tech, but we're going to start you on all of the same courses while you start to kind of figure it out.
Or business or education.
Education. Exactly. So maybe you don't know if you're going to be a financial advisor, accountant, or what, but you're going to kind of take
or superintendent.
You're going to take the same courses that we know are going to transfer into whatever area, you're going to go into. And this goes back to where those conversations that you have with your kids are important. I'll give you an example. My oldest, Brecken, she's turning 14 here in a week.
Ooh, it's gonna be driving.
Stop. Speaking of Ford Dodge Ford, but anyway,
cheap car.
One of the conversations I had with her, hey, what do you want to do when you get older? And she's going to be an 8th grader, so she thinks she's got the entire world figured out, and she wants to be a nurse like her mom. Oh. I said, oh, what a great profession, but I have some questions for you, Brecken. Like, I didn't think you liked blood. Well, no, I hate blood. Okay, well,
talk to your mom about that.
What about needles? Dad, that is a non-negotiable. I'm not dealing with needles. And so, okay, now you're okay. Well, guess what? We need to talk about healthcare and maybe what you can do in healthcare that doesn't require blood.
You gotta be managing the healthcare.
Administrator.
Right? I mean,
so already having those conversations at 14, like me and my husband have talked about this. I always just thought teacher, coach, I'm going to do that. That's what my brother did. That's my passion. But like really understanding your options of what you can do. I think Iowa Central does that really good job. Like the dental hygiene, the nurse, like you're kind of educating young people, like look at this world, same thing you just did with art, look at these options you can go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we have the most transfer majors of any community college, and what that means is when you graduate from Iowa Central in one of those transfer majors and go on to a 4-year university, you start on day one as a junior. We're not nickel and diming from the regents on, well, we're not going to take that class. We're not going to, you're starting, as a junior. Success story, speaking of success stories, we have a student who graduated 2 years ago. Her name's Kodo, and she applied for New York University. And New York University has an acceptance rate of only 13%.
Wow.
Not only did she get in, they took every single credit from Iowa Central Community
That's College. Awesome.
Think about how much money she saved.
Yeah, completely. And I'm literally filling out this week a recommendation for her to go to Harvard Graduate School.
Oh, amazing.
Awesome. So, it's and again, it's that perception of when you're going to a community college, you're not getting a lower class education, and sometimes it's even better, but what we can do is we can have services and support to help you along the way, so you can be successful and have that better life.
Well, and I've never heard of anyone not getting a job because they start at Iowa Central and then finish at another 4-year. And I don't even know how many people, like bigger companies, don't even know where you graduated from. Like, I mean, honestly, Cole, when you met me and hired me, you had probably no idea. It doesn't matter. It matters what you're doing now and taking that education and being a great worker.
There is very few careers that matter if you got it from Harvard or Yale. There's just, there may be some out there, but by and large, even online degrees. Let's be honest. 20 years ago, online degrees were a joke. Where if you had an online degree, it was like,
wait, didn't you get your online degree 20 years ago?
No. The internet was still, dialing in at that time. But you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a plan in place because, again, if you don't have a plan and you're just blowing at the whim of whatever comes up, it's just like your budget at home. If you don't have a plan, your money's going to be gone and you don't know where it went.
And I want to touch on this real quick because we definitely hearing parents say, I want my kids to have that experience. Is that experience the college 4-year experience? What is the 4-year college experience? It's an array. I always throw my husband under the bus. I love him to death, but he went to a 4-year Iowa State, incurred a ton of debt, partied away, and then he became a plumber. And we talk about this, and we're gonna have this conversation with kid. What if he just would have went into the trade school or did something more? So like you say, if he wanted to be a business owner someday in plumbing,
Bailey's budget would look that much better.
Oh, I'm a big budgeter, Jesse. But I'm saying that college experience. I think one, you can get that Iowa Central. I can say that I got that experience, and two, just the cost effectiveness of it. College debt seems to be an ongoing issue, and everyone wants them forgiven. But guess what? They're still giving them out, right? They're not going to stop giving college debt out.
Yeah, and by the way, you're going to pay for them one way or another. Even if they're forgiven, then you're going to pay with them your taxes. I mean, it's just, let's be honest here, folks. No college is going to be free ever, but that's a topic for another day. But again, back to this college experience. Again, this is about choice. Because I don't know how you grade one college experience versus another. What I do is I talk to our students who, the 1,200 of them and everybody else who also comes, who commutes in for classes, who have the barbecues and have the bingo nights and have the student activities. And, one of the things we're putting into our student resource center is this huge screen so that we can not only stream Triton athletics that's going on, but have NFL Sunday Ticket and so to have that community, there. And, it just comes back to the choice of how much do you want to spend? How much do you want to bog your child down for something that is a perception of what maybe you lived in 20 years ago, 30 years ago when you went to college? And is that really what your child, necessarily wants?
Yeah. Do they even know what they want?
Yeah. And again, I'm not here to judge because if you want to pay for it and you want to go to wherever you go. But you can't have your cake and eat it too in regards to complain about the perceived high cost of college.
I love how I feel like you're talking more to the parents than the kids, right? Of how, and that's so important for everyone to take from this is the influence you have on your kids, of how much as a parent you influence probably a lot of these decisions, and make sure, you have the conversations and reach out to people. Iowa Central, our counselors at our school, use the resources if you don't know that's out there.
Because the parents educate the kids on what their options are. They won't think they need to go to Iowa State to get the college experience, or they won't need to go to Yale right away for a 4-year degree to get to Harvard. They can start at Iowa Central and they can move their way through. So it's the parents educating the child, using some of the resources Iowa Central has to offer as well, or any community college, the resources, but really educating them on there are different ways to go about this, and we can do it more cost effectively if we go this route.
Right. Absolutely.
So just to kind of wrap us up here, Jesse. So we've talked so much about the education side, but talk about, your staff, I guess the college as a whole, what it kind of means to our region in Iowa and in the Midwest.
Yeah, great. Appreciate that, because I do think sometimes folks take Iowa Central for granted in regards to the great thing, that we have here. And a lot of people don't know we send out 1,200 W-2s. We have 1,200 folks who are receiving some type of compensation for their household income from Iowa Central. We have over 57 buildings. We've done $40 million of infrastructure in just the last 2.5 years, which all of those were local subcontractors. That's a lot of infusion. One of the things that we're really, really proud of is the state of Iowa is in a population crisis. And what I mean by that is two stats that I'll share. Number one from IWD was even if all Iowans who are eligible to work were working, we'd still be 100,000 Iowans short of the jobs that we have available. Okay, that's scary. So that means we just don't have enough people. So when our region is out there fighting for people and the quality of life that we have, that we know we have here, but maybe other people don't know that we have here. One of the stats that we are very proud of is of the 6,200 students that we serve. And by the way, we serve 6,200 students on the credit side, but we do over 15,000 people on the non-credit side, the workforce training side. So there's over 20,000 people a year being educationally impacted by Iowa Central. But of the 6,200 that we serve, about 35% come from our service region, our 9 counties. But of the students who graduate, 77% stay in our region.
Wow.
So when you think about that, if you're supporting your community college here at Iowa Central and you're encouraging your child to come here and their friends, we have a better chance of keeping them in our region to be the future financial advisors, doctors, lawyers, and plumbers, welders, trades folks.
President of Iowa Central.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going anywhere for a while, so don't put water on that dream for folks. But
I know I was giving you
right.
I love it.
But by supporting your community college, we make not only an economical impact on our communities here, but we are the number one workforce provider in the state of Iowa and in our region. So when we're hammering those things, you can always rely on Iowa Central to be there to listen to our folks and serve our students. We are launching. I was just sharing with Ashley. Your husband's a plumber. That's one of the 5 programs that we're launching this fall. We're starting a plumbing program. We're starting an ultrasound tech program. That's a high need area. We're starting dental assistant, vet tech.
Wow.
As well as we're doing, I never thought I'd be in this business, but we're partnering with LeJames to be able to do a cosmetology foundation in high school.
Oh, I did not
to
know
try
that.
to lower that cost of that degree before those students go to LeJames. So
it's incredible.
We have a lot of great things going on, and we're going to continue to serve our 9 county region best that we can.
Awesome. Well, I'll say this. And I was thinking about this while you're talking, if you have a child that's, you got Joseph, take him to an Iowa Central sporting event. Take him to an event and let him get a feel for the JUCO college and give him that experience of like, hey, you could still live on campus. I don't care. But like, look at this experience you could have. I played basketball at Iowa Central. Like, start educating them sooner rather than later on these things. And like, obviously supporting Iowa Central. But Dr. Jesse, you are incredible. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks
for all you do. If you want to be the best, you have to do things that other people aren't willing to do. Michael Phelps.
Go Cubs.
You've been listening to How to Money with Cole & Cole, the podcast of Full Swing Financial Planning. To learn more, visit their website at www.fullswingfinancial.com and follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
For now, I'm Cole.
I'm Bailey.
And I'm Cole.
And we'll see you on the greens.
4! Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.